Let us move towards the inauguration ceremony. Let me introduce the dignitary who would be doing the inauguration. We have with us Dr. Sanjoy Mitra. Dr. Sanjay Mitra is the founder and managing director of Strategic Marketing Solutions and Research Center, SMSRC. SMSRC has already achieved leadership status in the field of strategic prescription research in India and Bangladesh. Dr. Sanjay started his personal and professional journey in 1986 and led numerous go-to-market strategy for clients. SMSRC, under his guidance, is serving the top companies in pharma. To name a few, Abbott, MSD, Pfizer, Sun Pharma, Beximco Bangladesh, Cipla, Alchem, to name a few here. He is a visiting lecturer at NMIMS University, Mumbai. He also represented OPPI's panel of judges for selection of annual Marketing Excellence Brand Awards for 9 years. Dr. Sanjay, I invite you here. We will be playing a short video to show the inauguration ceremony.
Thank you, Shruti, and thank you, Vivek, for this wonderful session. And I welcome all the participants who are attending this session. Let's inaugurate the session with the lamp lighting.
Welcome, Sanjay sir.
Thank you.
We would love to have a few words. We would love to listen a few words from you related to this particular event.
Sure. So it's really a pleasure, and I feel nostalgic and emotional to represent the two legends, Professor Chitta Mitra and Professor Tarun Gupta. I personally believe that the professional DNA that got created or imbibed into me was because of these two great gentlemen in pharma industry. So I have a small presentation to share with you all. This is I would try to cover some of the basic learning that I started learning and still trying to understand more deep into it from Professor Chitta Mitra since 1977. I was in schools those days, so I used to hear him talking about this, and since 1986 started practicing these learnings. So a few basics of pharma marketing, or I would say marketing per se, and then start looking at the pharma marketing point of views. So as he used to say, what is a brand? We might have shared numerous number of definitions of a brand, but the definition that I learned from him, brand is nothing but the perception of the user. The task of the brand manager is to continue to consolidate on that perception and create that brand personality. So every single brand has its own personality, and that's why they are different. Even if they are Me Too generics, but they are different because of the branding effect that we create as the brand manager in the mind of the user. So brands are the building block of any industry, whether it is pharma or FMCG or any industry. That's why it is so important. So what is the largest brand in this world? The words of wisdom which I was told early days of my career, I didn't believe, but more and more I look into it and practice. I am with equal conviction that the largest brands in this world are religion, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. These are nothing but brand, and they reside in our mind, perception of the user. The power of these brands are so strong. The conviction level of the user of these brands are so strong that one can even sacrifice his own her life. So that's the power of brand. Once we create a brand, we we can ensure that the brand will do the rest as far as the user is concerned. The use of the brand by the user will happen automatically. And that's what the brand represents. It has a physical response and also a perceptual response. These two put together create the particular character of that brand. And therefore, each brand becomes different, even if they're technically same or similar generics. A quick example of why we say that the brand resides in the mind. I have a video, but because of want of time, I would not play that video. This experiment, my father used to tell me many years back. I did this experiment recently in 2019. A biostatistician student who was doing our summer in our organization in 2019. She was from US, so obviously she loved Coke. And one day when we were chatting, I said, do you take Coke as a brand, or do you really relish that black aerated sweet water? She immediately responded saying that, no, it's Coke and nothing else. I said, would you be able to find out the difference between Coke and any other similar soft drink? She immediately said, yes, I will. So I made this experiment. I couldn't get Pepsi, but I got Thumbs Up and Coke. These were the two options I had. So created 3-4 glasses. Glass A was Thumbs Up, glass B was Thumbs Up, glass C was her Coke, and glass D had 50%. It's an Indian concept, so combination. I did a combination of Thumbs Up and Coke. And I have the entire audio recording, video recording. She ultimately selected, if you can guess, D as her most favorite Coke. When I showed her the results, that was the glass D, she got a shock of her life, and she said, I think it's because it's Indian Coke, right? So that's what brand does. It resides in the mind, and we don't drink the actual quality of the product, or I would say the black aerated water, but we drink Coke as a brand. So this was a recent example. Now, referring to, Professor Mitra used to say, marketing is an arts and science, both. Laws of physics and chemistry are directly applicable. So Newton's first law and Newton's third law is directly applicable in marketing and brand building. I have had now innumerous number of examples. I mean, we can spend a whole day of looking at different examples from the industry, past, present, and we can also predict that there will be similar examples in future as well. Brand, once built, continues to remain progressive in the mind of the user or the consumer or the customer, unless there is an opposite forces, either internal or external. Professor Vivek just started with an example of Amexide H and Amexide. That was it. The brand should have continued to grow, but there was an internal disruption because of new product launches, and therefore the brand life cycle got jeopardized. So it's we as the brand manager who jeopardizes the brand life cycle, and not the market, not even competition. Many a times we believe that the competition has taken away share. Competition cannot take away share unless and until we allow the competition to give share or take share from our brand. And Newton's first law, every strategic action will have an opposite reaction. So the strategic mind should always weigh and decide what would be the reaction. If the reactions are positive, then the entire brand as well as the other brands will also get benefited. If the reactions are negative, then one goes out, the other comes in, or something like that. Therefore, while planning a strategy, one needs to ensure that the reaction doesn't jeopardize the overall growth of the organization. It's so important. There are umpteen number of cases I have seen, and we are still dealing with such cases or go-to-market strategies when we build, that just because of one small new launch during this COVID period, there are a lot of companies who took shelter for launching COVID drugs like vitamin C, vitamin CZS, and vitamin D, who never had those brands in their portfolio. But just to gain some quick success, they did it. And results are already seen now. Even hand sanitizer, launching hand sanitizer in dermatology portfolio as a brand and giving credit to the field force. How these things, jeopardize the strategic action in the long run is already on the table. So these two laws always get applied as far as brand lifecycle management is concerned. Referring to portfolio management, it's the chemistry. If brand management is physics, then portfolio management is chemistry. A quick example, our primary therapy portfolio, where we have a OAD drug or a cardiovascular drug, and we are doing quite well in that, and we are sustaining the focus in that therapy area. If we launch an antioxidant brand or a multivitamin brand, thinking that the cardiologist and diabetologist also co-prescribe a lot of antioxidants and cardiovascular brands while prescribing the primary therapy, immediately there will be an acidic reaction, exactly like what happens if we have H2O. It's a water which saves our life, and if we feel that if we increase that H to 3 and make it H3O, it's the acid in water. It doesn't remain as drinking water. So what is likely to happen? The primary therapy brand is likely to get discarded by the doctor, and the doctors are likely to have an escape route to prescribe the co-prescriptive product of antioxidant. That's the challenge that many a company face over a period of time, and that's why the portfolio management can be referred as a chemistry of brand management or brand portfolio management. Finally, the golden words that I learned from Professor Mitra: 5 must-dos for effective communication to build a brand character. And out of these 5 actions, the fifth one, sharper than competition, it's a relative phenomenon. But the first 4 is absolutely doable by any brand manager. And if we can put a tick mark on all the 4, automatically the 5th factor will happen. Effective communication, keep it as simple as possible. At times, we try to make the communication more scientific, more complex, and even if the doctor can understand, the medical representative will not be able to communicate that message so simply in such a short period of time. So it's so important. It must be relevant for the segment or to the segment which we have segmented for my brand, deliver the most meaningful benefit. I have seen umpteen number of promotional materials during this course of journey, where there are so many benefits which are getting highlighted, and the product manager or the brand manager feels proud to highlight all the benefits, thinking that a brand market share will grow and have a better opportunity or a play area. But it's wrong. If we can select one, the most important benefit for the relevant segment, and keep it simple in our communication, I think that will have the best impact for building the brand character or sowing the seed, even if it is a new product, sowing the seed of the brand in the mind of the prescriber. And then 4th, most important, I would say, it must be credible, goes without saying, and consistent. Today we say something, tomorrow we say something else. It cannot be a brand. I say my mother is the biggest brand and my father is the biggest brand to me as an individual. Why? Because I have seen the same mother, same father since my childhood till today, or till they were alive, or even now when I see their photographs. So therefore, if the visual and the photographs keep changing, I don't think I'll be able to understand, or any child will be able to understand whether father is actually his father or her father is actually a brand or not. And then sharper than competition, of course, that's a relative thing that can happen eventually. But the first 4 are most important action areas for creating a brand. Finally, the execution, the power of focused execution and its importance in branding, brand building. In India, there are 2 concepts. One very common concept is how many more doctors I can reach so that I can have a better brand market share and a better play area. We say no, brand can reach every probable customer provided I create that depth for the brand. And it's physics again. If we look at the pressure and force, which are the resources like research inputs, brand communication, distribution network, marketing and sales force, customer relationship, and all that, then area, as it goes towards infinity, even if F is infinite, it becomes infinity, P becomes infinity. So if area is smaller, the pressure increases its velocity, and therefore we can get more deeper and deeper into the customer's mind. And if we can build a brand in one customer, one prescriber, please be assured the homogeneous group of prescribers, that segment, will also get, the brand effect will get percolated effect. And there are so many examples. I don't get into those brand examples right now and delay the next session. So with this, let me summarize. These are some of the concepts which will never change. Concept like a religion cannot change and will never change. They are science, and these are applicable science. if one challenges the concept and try out something different, it will always boomerang. Therefore, for any brand manager, it is so essential to always check while doing the brand management work, whether or not we are fully aligned with these concepts. As long as we are aligned, I am sure we can build robust brands even within the Me Too generic market. In India, the pharma market we refer as is generic market, but that's the legal definition. Actually, we are in brand market in non-patented therapy areas. Each brand, be it Augmentin, be it Januvia, be it Clavum, these are brands within the Me Too generic market. They are differentiated brands and they are perceived differently. With this, I would conclude my session, and I would welcome you all once again. And thank you, Professor Vivek and Shruti, for giving me this opportunity to share our thoughts with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjoy Mitra. I would not have asked for a better start to this event, the way you presented this idea of branding. Our mothers and fathers are the best brands we can ever remember. Most persistent and consistent brands. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Vivek, sir, any words from you?
Well, I'm really moved, and it was a wonderful presentation from Dr. Sanjay. And all the audience who are hearing to him, they have a great take home. Please remember these golden words of Dr. Sanjay Mitra.
Thank you.